It is week 3 in our fantasy league. Let's talk about the results from week 2. See who's getting that extra chance, or the better chance, I should say. Excuse me, the better chance at that number 1 pick next year. We only had one rivalry game. It was Joel and Ben. So let's take a peek at that. Ben won by a little under 9 points. Pretty close for a rivalry game. Joel had 3 players below 5 points. Saquon Barkley tore his ACL. Obviously not ideal, not something you can project. Paris Campbell going on IR. There's some points on some benches. Ben had 2 players score over 30 points, which is quite impressive. Kamara there and Josh Allen. So yeah, Ben got an extra chance in the draft order because of that. We'll get into that after I get through all the matchups. Second matchup, we had Eastwood play Luke, and Eastwood came away with the victory pretty easily, it looks like. Eastwood only had 2 starters score under 10 points. So everybody else on his roster scored at least 10, which is it's a good week most of the time. Luke did get a 0 from Gronkowski. It didn't help his cause. Breeze, Burrow, he's got a bunch of QBs now with Lamar Jackson on his roster. Third one, we have Matt played Chris. Matt went from the high scoring team in week 1 to the second lowest scoring team in week 2. Yeah, not where you want to go. 3 injuries to starters for Matt. Devontae Adams, Christian Kirks, Henry Ruggs. Chris got almost 40 from Russell Wilson. He had 3 players over 20 points. You can see right there. John Ross got him a goose egg. He was still able to come out with the victory. Take a peek at those benches. Bell on IR. Hayden Hurst on everybody's bench, I swear. All right, Elliott and Connor. Elliott had 2 40-point scores. I don't think that's been done yet this year. Obviously, albeit being week 2. We'll see what time if that happens again. But yeah, almost 50 from Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones was pretty much a league winner in week 2. We'll keep looking around here. Connor got 26.4 from Ridley, and not much else from anybody else. You can see this is Sunday morning, so you can see off roster, off roster, off roster, off roster. Things have changed in the world's greatest camp. All right, Randy against Mosley. Randy came up with a big win there. He had 4 players score 20 points or more. Obviously, lost McCaffrey for a few weeks. We'll see how long that injury fully goes for. Stephon Diggs has been on straight fire this year. But I like Mosley's lineup. He really didn't have many hiccups with it. All but 2 starters were in double figures. I always had his bench wouldn't have really helped him that much either when you look at it. That was just Randy's week. All right, Sean against Ryan. Ryan. And Ryan got the under 9-point victory. He had 4 players score at least 15 points or more, that's a good output. It's a good start there. Sean got 30 from Mahomes. Sat Fournette, who got almost 30. That's a eye opener there. He only had 4 players in double figures, so that's really not gonna do you any favors here. Let's go on the week 2 report. Randy, the best manager, almost set a perfect lineup. Only missed a little under 2 points. I think this is Ben's back-to-back worst manager, quote-unquote, awards here. Elliott beat his opponent by almost double what they had. Smallest victory in that rivalry game, like I was talking about earlier. Ben over Joel. Randy with the highest score, so he gets another ball in our overall drawings. Lowest scorer is Connor. There's always next week. You know, there's a lot of quarterbacks you can pick up on the wire here. Yeah, you can do better than Cousins, I guess, to put it that way. Randy overachieving. Matt, yep, second lowest scoring team, as I said, was the number one last week. QB of the week was Dak Prescott for Elliott, and Aaron Jones was the best running back of the week for Elliott also. You see those two 40-point scores at the on this page. That's pretty impressive. Randy with the wire of the week. John New had 2 TDs, a really good week. Young Ho Koo. Benches. Matt Ryan on the bench for Chris. I believe they won, so I guess it didn't really matter that much. Sean took an L, sitting Fournette. Deontay Johnson on the bench, but Ryan won. Matt had 23 on the bench from Gesicki. And, Fairbairn on the bench of Luke. Okay, so let's get into the Week 3 matchups. There are no rivalry games in Week 3. I know there's teams that have not had rivalry games yet. Your time will come, put it that way. You can see Eastwood and Ryan. Ryan's already got almost a 10-point lead from the Thursday night game. Minshew was underwhelming. I thought it would be the complete opposite. So let's take a look at some lineups here. Mixon and Eckler would be a pretty good combo to have. Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Kenyon Drake also really good. Good tight end matchup too. I think Waller probably scores more points this week, but Jonnu Smith is going to find the end zone, I believe. Miles Sanders, Melvin Gordon. Yeah, I can't see the team names when I'm scrolling down, but I can tell who's who is just because of how many good running backs the guy has. It's Ryan's team. Nobody on the bench really. He's like, ooh, why is he on the bench to me? Goddard's on the bench, but suck it, Dallas Goddard. You be on the bench. Zach Pascal might have some sneaky value this week with Paris Campbell out. So we will see about that. Let's go to our next matchup. We had Ryan play Eastwood. Now we have Matt playing Elliott. Matt with 9.4 from Devontae Parker Thursday night. Dak Prescott and Aaron Jones, I think they're both going to have, I don't think they're going to both have 40-point weeks again, but I think they're going to have some really good games. That Green Bay game tonight against New Orleans, I think it's going to be a real fun game to watch. Dallas and Seattle is usually really competitive. Godwin at Denver. We do have Devontae Adams holding that doubtful tag. I'm hoping he can play tonight because I have him in another league. Keenan Allen, Mark Andrews, Christian Kirk is also out. So it looks like somebody needs to look at their lineup. And just so everyone is aware, when you do not set lineups, your name does not go in here on a weekly basis, and I take a ball that you have earned through whatever, a rivalry victory, a random drawing, the highest scoring team, because the whole name of the game is competitiveness, and I want the best players, the cream rising to the top, like Macho Man Randy Savage said once. Chris and Connor are tied currently, which is interesting. Tannehill and Henry, that's a lot of Titans right there. Russell Wilson's been pretty lights out so far. I don't see why he couldn't tear up some Dallas. The one thing about the Seahawks sometimes is you think it's a great matchup, and then Chris Carson scores 3 rushing touchdowns, and Russell Wilson doesn't do much, but we'll see. Henry against Minnesota. Minnesota's given up a lot of points this year. I haven't been able to watch one of their games, but I think playing against them is always a good bet. Mike Davis off of the wire to replace Christian McCaffrey. We'll see how that turns out against the Chargers. See if John Ross scores points this week. That Lockett, Russell Wilson combo is pretty valuable on Chris's team. Calvin Ridley's been, I think, a 20-point scorer every week at least. Higbee had 3 touchdowns last week. Marvin Jones could have a day. Josh Kelly could have another solid week. Let's take a peek at some benches here. A lot of injuries, to put it that way. James White's out. I think his father just passed away. Mostert's got an injury. Michael Thomas. So, yeah, you know there's an issue when you're starting John Ross, right? All right, Ben against Randy. Let's take a peek. Looks like Ben's projected 9 more points. Josh Allen, John Connor, or not John Connor. What is it? James Connor. John. Isn't that Terminator? Alvin Kamara, John Brown. Robbie Anderson's been a surprise. Stephon Diggs has been, I think, the best wide receiver. One of the best wide receivers, I should say. Throughout this entire season. Amari Cooper. Jordan Reed is a sneaky pick with Kittle being hurt. And I know the 49ers have a lot of injuries, including Garoppolo's hurt. Jerick McKinnon's starting. You can see him on the other side there. Look at some benches. And, yeah, Kittle and McCaffrey, those on the bench just hurt. That's unfortunate. Old man Frank Gore. Against his old team, he might have some sneaky value there, especially with Le'Veon Bell still on IR. I see Melvin Ingram on the bench a lot. Julio's still questionable, game time decision. So we'll see if Julio plays. Julio's always a guy you want starting, of course. All right, we got Luke and Sean. Let's take a peek. Mahomes and Lamar Jackson on Monday night. We have the cute quarterback matchup here. This will be a very interesting game. Starting Dobbins. Luke's starting Dobbins. Not terrible. That's a lot of people going on Monday night, though. Got 2 guys going on Monday, 3 guys going on Monday. Hopkins against Detroit. He's going to get peppered with targets. Starting Greg Olsen at tight end, I find that interesting. Larry Fitz, I find interesting. Let's see, look at some benches. Gaskin from Miami had a decent output. Yeah. I was skeptical of starting Fitzgerald and Olsen. Then I looked at your bench, and Gronkowski's got a goose egg or nothing both weeks. And I think you're on the right path there. You don't really have anybody who's better. Joel and Mosley. Joel's got a huge lead from James Robinson on Thursday night, so we will see how this all plays out. I think Zeke against Seattle is a better matchup than advertised. Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Rodgers, of course, against New Orleans. Tyreek on Monday. Thielen. Kelsey. That's a good team right there, too. Yeah. Chark. Ooh, Chark is out. Speaking of not setting your lineup, I'm looking at one. So, I think, yeah, Moses got two chances so far in the draft order. It looks like he's got 1 now. So, okay. Look at the standings. You can see Randy in the 1 spot, Chris in the 2, Ryan in the 3. Those are all 3 teams that are undefeated out of 12 of us. Got Mosley, Ben, Matt, Eastwood, Sean, Elliott are all 1-1. And the 0-2 teams, you have Joel, Luke, and Connor. Okay, so everybody in week 2 did set a lineup, so I don't have to take anybody out of here. So let's see who's got that extra edge. All right, who's getting the extra ball this week? All right. Wild card. Luke, you are the random winner. So Luke has 2 chances now. All right, so Matt has the highest chance at that number 1 pick in the 2021 season so far with 3. It's about 15.7% chance. He got 3 because he was the highest point scorer in week 1 and won his rivalry game in week 1. RJ was the highest point scorer in week 2, so he has 2 chances, about 10.5%. So he is tied with Ben, Mosley, Ryan, and Luke with that 10.5%. And then there are 6 teams that have 1 ball because they are not, well, they either haven't had a rivalry game yet or they're just not scoring that many points. And that would be about a 5% chance. So yeah, guys, keep setting your lineups. I will be watching, obviously, who is setting laps and who is not, just so that added incentive to actually participate keeps going. But yeah, good luck in week 3, guys. I will see you next time. I'll see you next week.